Ain't nothing but against the party. Why you acting like that? Oh, shit. You done fucked up, man. You done put two of America's most wanted in the same motherfucking place at the same motherfucking time. Y'all niggas about to feel this. Yeah! Break out the champagne glasses and motherfucking condoms. Have one on us, alright?
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all know what time it is? We're back on the show right now. I'm your host, Mr. Tommy Sotomayor. Right now, I'm about to bring in a very special guest. I've been efforting to get him on here for a while. He is the man known as, to some of you, as Tariq the Elite, King Flex, K-Flex. He's an author, documentary film producer. Now, you might know him from Mac Lessons. A lot of y'all need to pick that up. I know him from Hidden Colors 1 and 2, and I'm telling you, I know a lot of people who, and I'm one of them, who saw Hidden Colors and literally had a brand new perspective on life. And there are very few films that any of you will ever see that you can walk away from that film and feel like you are not doing enough, feel like you didn't know enough. I felt like the 37 years I had lived prior to seeing the movie that I didn't know crap. And I also feel like my name sucks compared to his name because his name rhymed with a lot of stuff, elite, good stuff. I'm Thomas, and they don't rhyme with nothing but promise. And so I need to get a new name. My name ain't black enough. I'm about to bring in my man, Tariq Nasheed. What's up, brother?
What's up, Pimp Sauce? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, doing well. I'm excited to have you on the show. I saw that thing you tweeted out. I would want to tell you that was funny. Of your son watching, what is it?
Tahiri. Yeah. My son has the crazy facial expressions and everything, but he's good.
Hey, I'm telling you, I'm the father of a 7-year-old, and before we go into anything, because, you know, they say us black men, we're not fathers and whatever, and I told today, I put up a stat today, and I want to read it to you and tell me if it resonates with you. I said, and I quote, make sure I say it right because I've been quoting myself wrong and say it and it don't sound right. I said, maybe it's just me, but I still feel like a kid on Christmas Day every morning that I get to see my daughter wake up. It's like you get to open up the best gift you've ever gotten over and over, and somehow it gets even better the next time you open it. Being a father is the best job in the world, especially when the mother is right there to encourage you and not stand in the way. What do you feel about that?
That's absolutely true. You know, that's such a negative stigma that they put on the black American men, that we don't love our kids or that we don't want to take care of our kids. That's a major myth that they put on us. And unfortunately, our community is judged by the worst, while other communities judge by the best. Yep. And brothers do love their kids. Brothers love their children. Brothers want to take care of their kids. Brothers ride for their kids. Brothers don't want to get caught up in the system. They don't like to have their children used as pawns against them. So when we talk about things like black men and their children, put everything in context. And that's what I say to people out there who like to throw the brothers under the bus, because the whole thing about us not loving our kids and not wanting to take care of our kids, we don't want to deal with no ratchetness, but we do want to take care of our kids. So we need to put that in perspective.
Amen, amen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who is in the building, we have author, documentary specialist. He does it all, Mr. Tariq Nasheed, and he's here. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of everything that goes on. But I got to ask you first about this life-changing documentary that you've done. And I don't know if anybody's ever described it the way that I described it, but I literally mean that after seeing it, I felt like the 37 years I lived prior, I was ignorant. Was that one of the reasons why you came up with this documentary, to open up people's eyes like mine in that magnitude?
Absolutely, man. When the movie was in theaters, man, people were in the theaters crying. People were just extremely overjoyed, and I was very gratified because of that. And the reason I wanted to do the film is because ever since my brother, President Barack Obama, has been elected, man, in the media, we've been thrown under the bus, heavy under the bus. It's like, okay, you got a black president. We don't owe you anything now, so now we're gonna really give you the business right now. So in the last 5 years, we've been getting The Blind Side. We've been getting Precious. We've been getting the help. We've been getting all of these black inferiority films, and when you see stuff like that over and over again, it does something collectively to the self-esteem of the community. It really does. Those images are very powerful, and when you look at television, we get just ratchetness behind after ratchetness after ratchetness. So I got tired of complaining, because complaining is one thing, but after we complain, we're going to have to do something about it. So nobody was seeming to do anything about it. Nobody was stepping up saying, okay, hey, let me put my money together and do a film to counter all the stuff that we're getting. A lot of people criticize Brother Tyler Perry, which I don't. I have a lot of respect for Tyler Perry, and he does the Madea thing, but the thing is, on the back end, Tyler Perry, he's playing the game. He's playing chess. A lot of people don't see how he's playing the game. He's really playing it correctly, because he's like, look, I'll tap dance for you on the forefront, but I'm going to get this money and I'm going to build my own studio. That was some revolutionary moves right there, to build his own studio. You understand? And you see how they keep burning the studio down. You see these mysterious fires?
Right.
You see that? You understand? So that's a whole different thing right there. I digress on that. Well, I won't digress. There's an FBI agent from the 1970s. If you go to YouTube, he admits to being hired by the FBI to burn down black businesses in the 1960s and 70s. I want y'all to Google that or YouTube that. But again, what made me want to do the film, I said, okay, I'm tired of complaining. I'm tired of us seeing these negative images, so let me get it together. Let me give out some of the information I know. I was going to do a book first, but I said, no, I don't want to do no book, because people might find a book about history boring. If you say this is a history book, people might be like, I don't want to read it. So I said, okay, let me I'll just do a film. It'd just be me breaking down history, because when I do lectures about dating and relationships, I drop some history game sprinkled into the lecture. I said, okay, if I do that, I don't want people to start looking at me as the new black leader. I don't want that at all. I tell people all the time, I'm not trying to be nobody's leader, because y'all motherfuckers let me get shot. I'm cool. Brother, y'all will let brothers get shot at the drop of a hat. The minute I say, hey, I'm the new leader, it's like, how? And,
I'm with you on that. When they was asking me to do it, I was like, look, I am none of that. Seriously, I am not trying to be that. I don't want to be that, because at the end of the day, that's a job that don't end well, and it don't have good benefits, and the retirement plan sucks.
Exactly. So I said, look, let me do this instead of doing a film by myself. Let me get the people that I love and respect, historians that I've studied, and people that I like, and that's how Hidden Colors, the first one, came about, and the second one. So I got a lot of people that I looked up to. I outlined the movie. I outlined what we were going to talk about. I wanted to talk about history that has been hidden from us, literally. And fortunately, when it came out, it just took off, man. People gravitated towards it. And it's like the number one history documentary film right now, the number one series right now. You go to Amazon, it's like killing all of those other documentaries. So I'm very proud of that film.
I'm proud of it. Let me tell you, when I went all the way to Houston to see it, which didn't make sense because they was playing in Atlanta. But I went
it was playing in two places in Atlanta.
I just wanted an excuse to go to Houston. But
cats are sleeping on Houston, dude. Cats are sleeping on Houston. I don't know why cats are sleeping on Houston, man. Houston has it popping.
Yes.
Houston is what Atlanta used to be in the late 90s. That's how Houston is popping off. Dude, I'm a big cheerleader of Houston. Well, are you from Houston, Tommy?
Say what?
No, are you from Houston originally or from ATL?
No, I'm like you. I became a cheerleader of it. I was like, what's going on here? Cats are sleeping. I'm telling y'all better get up on Houston, nigga. You up there trying to be in Atlanta all the time. It ain't the licking. I'm in Atlanta all day, every day. It ain't the licking like that anymore.
I've been trying to tell cats, and I got the utmost love and respect for Atlanta, but Atlanta ain't like it. Ain't like the old Freaknik days. It's changed. The simping, the moisture, it's been permeated with a lot of fuckery down there in Atlanta. So you still got the good stuff, but now you got to navigate through a bunch of bullshit to get to the good stuff down there.
Amen. And I want to get you to talk on that a little bit in a minute, because that is where your wheelhouse is, and you help brothers out every day. And literally, I hear men quoting how you've changed their lives. And so I want to get into that a little bit, but I want to finish off with this, with the hidden colors. I met a woman while I was there, and it was a white woman.
Yeah.
White woman. The woman was crying. Crying after the show, and she came up to me, and she knew me, and it scared me. I thought I owed her some money. So, you know? Fuck the repo man in Houston. This is bullshit. But no, she explained to me, you know, I'm a fan of your work and I'm a fan of his, and she has a chapter in a little city there in I forgot the little city outside of Houston, and it's about 45 minutes outside of it, and she gets people together, black people, to help them get the history lessons that you were putting out, because she said, and this was like a white woman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But she said that she feels bad that her ancestors put blacks through that and hid their history from them. And she kept saying how great of a people you guys are. And I just really hate, and it was like she was being very apologetic. Let me ask you, because you were in the forefront while doing it, how much apology did you get from whites who were saying, everything you're saying is things that either we kind of knew and we knew you didn't know? You know what I mean? Like that feeling of dating something we didn't.
Right. Well, I didn't get no apologies. Yeah. Dude, you out of them white supremacist groups are going at me, man. You better look up the American Renaissance. That's a major white supremacist group, and they be going in on me, man. They don't like me at all. They're like, oh, that's nigger revisionist history. I get all of that, you know, the white nationalists trying to debate and all that stuff. Well, not really debate, because you can't really debate the information that's in the film. Yeah. But a lot of people, a lot of my European American brothers and sisters, they already know this information. You know, when I talk to white scholars and white historians, and we start mentioning stuff about the Moors, they know. They jump right on it. They know about the Moors. They know about the great empires of Timbuktu. They know. When I had Robert Greene on my show, the guy who wrote 48 Laws of Power, and I asked him, I said, how come a lot of historians, mainstream historians, don't talk about African history? And he knew. I mean, right away, he said, well, you know, it's racism. It's a white guy saying this. He knows this. So they know all about history. We're the only ones who don't know our own history. We are the only ones who don't know. It's that simple.
How does that make you feel when you hear people like me say something like, I didn't know any of that crap? Like, I went to Georgia Tech, I went to all white schools, and literally there was most of these black people, I'd never heard of them. Do you know, I just heard of Dr. Phil Valentine when I watched your stuff.
Right. You know, the thing is, man, because we've been through a lot in this country, and we kind of have an attitude like, okay, look, I just do what I need to do to not ruffle feathers. We just want to get along. We don't want no trouble. So that's generally the collective mentality that we have, which is understandable. I'm not knocking that. But the thing is, behind closed doors, at least learn your own history, because you have to understand if people are trying to will power over you, the last thing they're going to do is educate you about yourself. That's why we keep being told that we were just slaves. There's a reason for that. Because other people, they don't talk about their defeats when they discuss their history. When you see other people, they're talking about Alexander the Great, 300, the Greeks. They talk about how victorious their history is. Abraham Lincoln, that long, boring-ass movie.
Yeah, it was. Me and my daughter went to sleep.
Oh, my God. Man, that was excruciatingly boring. But the thing is, they prop themselves up and they give themselves props, as they should. They're not going to keep talking about how they were defeated. They're not going to keep – they never even admit to being slaves, and the original slaves were Europeans. The word slave comes from Slavic, and the word Slavic meant white at the time, and many of them were enslaved in North Africa. And even over here, that a lot of people don't like to talk about. But when people keep telling you were a slave, you were less than, there's a reason for doing that. They want your self-esteem to be crushed, and you got to look at it for what it is. So in order to be knowledgeable about yourself, as a black man, you have to be somewhat of a rebel, because you got to reject everything that was taught to you in school. When black folks go to school, we're basically lied to. This is why when people learn this information, either two things are going to happen. Either they're going to get very angry and get like real pro-black militant, like, hey, my history's been hidden. Fuck these crackers. They're going to get on that. Or they're going to be like, okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to play the game, but I'm going to play it my way. And they become more cunning with their game. They become more cunning with the information. And they become more covert with the information. So they're not all in your face. They're playing the game correctly. So it's very important for us to self-educate and learn our information from our own.
Have you had blacks reject the things you're trying to teach? Because when you're trying to unplug people from the matrix, some people feel more comfortable still in the matrix. Have you had that happen?
Yes, I have, man. I did a very famous interview with what I like to call a Negro bed wench at a Washington, D.C. radio station. They had me call up. They were like, hey, we want to talk about Hidden Colors. It's a so-called black station. When I say black station, I mean a station that caters to a black audience. Not owned by blacks. Let me be very clear. When we say black, we mean pandering to a black audience. Mm-hmm. But there was a female DJ named Wendy Wright who called me up, has a popular talk show in Washington, D.C. I called up to the station. We were talking about Hidden Colors, and the lady was telling me, well, you know what, Tariq, I got a problem with your film because your film is offensive to white people. You shouldn't – I don't think that you or any other black person should do a film talking about our history because it rubs white folks the wrong way. And I'm not even paraphrasing. She said this out of her mouth. And I'm like looking at the phone like, what? She's like, yeah, she said we need to have people like Tim Wise, who I love and respect. He's a white lecturer, and he gives a lot of good anti-racism messages. But she was like, we need people like Tim Wise to really tell our story for us. And I was like, lady, I kind of went off, and me and this lady were going at it back and forth on the air. But that type of mentality is prevalent out there. There's a lot of black folks out here who are house Negroes mentally, and they don't want to ruffle the feathers. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want stuff like this coming out there because they think that it's going to make whites uncomfortable, and then when whites get uncomfortable, whites will start pushing away all the black people, and they feel like they're going to lose their benefits. So there are black people who don't like this information.
Gee, ladies and gentlemen, we're live with Tariq Nasheed, and he is talking about his film, Hidden Colors 1 and 2. Go out and get it. They both are. You can get them at Amazon, right?
Yes, indeed. Amazon or HiddenColorsFilm.com. Yes, indeed.
Good deal. Now, and one thing you really touched on that, and I don't know if you did this on purpose, but you know we as black folks, especially black men, we cannot challenge or talk about white Jesus without having literally the other half of us, our black females, shut down.
Yeah.
How did you broach this? Yeah, how did you broach this? Because you hit it where I hit it, and I kept saying, I wonder why people keep saying they want me to do something with this guy. And then when I watched the movie, I said, the hell, we're saying the same crap, and it needs to be more people saying this. It needs to be more people saying, look, we were given, and this was always my thought about it. I said we were given a religion by oppressor. What makes no sense is that we follow it after the oppression or after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation, after all of that crap. We still follow it and we cling to it like it's the only thing we have left, which is weird because you wouldn't tell a woman who was raped by a man, held captive for 20 years, then he finally released her, and if she kept repeating everything he said for the 20 years, you tell her, look, this guy didn't mean you any good. Everything he taught you was to keep you docile. Why is it that we don't teach black people that same thing?
Well, again, black people are scared. A lot of black people in this country are scared, especially a lot of the women. And rightfully so. I can understand why, because, you know, what happened, especially during slavery, was very brutal. And black men were put in a position where they couldn't really protect a lot of the sisters. So I can understand some of that fear. But sometimes you got to let some of those old cultural fears, because now it's a cultural fear. You hold on to a lie so long, you're afraid to let it go. And we got to understand, we can let the lie go now. We can take down the white Jesus who ain't even real. The white Jesus it's a model. It was Leonardo da Vinci. It was a model. It was one of his relatives. This is historic document. This is not even up for debate. Jesus didn't look like that. And the people back then, during the time of Jesus, didn't really look like that because there was no religion in Europe. Europe never produced a religion, let alone Christianity. I mean, these are facts. So you can pretend you want to argue with that, but I just deal with facts. I don't do no interpretations or nothing. Hidden Colors just brought straight up and down verifiable facts, and people can choose to deal with that or not deal with it. But what's funny, I always say this, if 10 white scholars said the same information in Hidden Colors, we would have an Oscar right now. Black people all around the world would be like, oh, wow, did you hear that? That's so deep, you know?
Byron Scott made a statement. I know if you know Byron Scott. Byron Scott, the ex-Los Angeles Laker. He was also a coach. He coached in a couple of places. He coached in New Orleans. He coached the New Jersey Nets. He made a statement that was very profound, and it's basically about what you just said. He said, the black players are not comfortable listening to a black coach. And I was shocked when he said that. He said, I say the same thing that a Phil Jackson says, but they will rail against it, and they don't feel. And then you look at what Kobe did to the one coach he's ever done something like that to, Mike Brown. Have you noticed? Have you noticed how difficult it is for us to talk to us, especially as black men? We're still being emasculated amongst our own people.
Exactly, because the thing is, we do that because we know that other black people are not protected. You understand? We know that they don't have protection. Black folks know you can't pull that stuff on white folks because white people are protected. You know, the law will come down on you. I call it the color purple thing. Just like how a lot of sisters will talk sassy to the brothers. They love that a lot. And I'm not talking about all. I'm not trying to throw all sisters under the bus, but you got a lot of sisters who like to talk real sassy and embarrass brothers in public and just talk real greasy. And whites are entertained by that. Whites will let that go on. They laugh and giggle. But if one of those women starts talking greasy and slick like that to a white person, things go down, things change. Just like in The Color Purple in Oprah's character. She was cussing out all the dudes. She was talking shit to, you told Harpo to beat me. She's beating up Harpo. She's talking greasy. And in the movie, she said something slick to a white dude, and he pistol whipped her ass and put her in jail for like 10 years or something. So a lot of sisters, they do understand that fear. You can't pull that stuff with other people, so you're going to show them respect by default. So we pull a lot of stuff on each other because we have the option to do so, and we know that they're not protected. And we shouldn't need them to be protected. We should just not disrespect each other out of respect for each other.
And I saw something before I came on here, and it was funny. And you handled it perfectly. And I think it's old. That was my first time seeing it. You were on KTLA, and they were talking to you about Mac lessons.
Yeah.
You were having fun, and you were entertaining everyone. And, you know, even the guys were trying to – it was funny. I make a statement, and you tell me do you agree or disagree. I said if a white guy conforms, act like, and befriends black men, he becomes popular amongst his other peers, i.e., you look at Justin Bieber. He acts, quote-unquote, black. You remember Ice Baby. When they act black, they get popular and become to the top of their field. The white boy, Jason Williams, his jersey was the number one selling jersey over Kobe, over anybody in the NBA when he was white chocolate dripping between his legs. He wasn't even that good, but because they call him white chocolate. Now, the opposite effect. You don't see any of those big-name white girls, i.e. the Taylor Swifts or anything like that, hanging out with black girls. Because if they hang out with black girls, if they have the black girl attitude, they immediately get pushed down because they won't allow their women to have that attitude. So when I watched that interview with you, and I noticed how the guys and everybody was trying to feel your swagger, so to speak, and it almost offended the one dark-skinned chick with the wig on. She was offended. And have you noticed this happens a lot with us as black men? If it seems like the world likes us or we're getting somewhere, we'll get shut down by the quote-unquote, and I call them Negro just like you, Negro bed wench, but I spell it with Knee. I will say Negro bed wench. But it seems like that person is there to so quote-unquote tell the master that, you know what, I think they're planning a revolt. So
exactly. You know what? Let's go to the movie Django. And speaking of white guys who get hit points for being around the brothers, Quentin Tarantino is a perfect example of that. But in the movie Django that just came out, there was a character named Sheba. Sheba was Calvin Candy's Negro bed wench, and it was a very attractive sister in the movie who really had a couple of lines. She didn't really speak that much, but she was around one of the main villains, who was Calvin Candy. She was well-dressed. She was sitting around in pearls. Her hair was done. She wasn't treated like the other slaves. She had an elevation position. She sat around drinking champagne, and there was one scene where Django came into the house, and they were watching a fight, and Django went to the bar and stood next to her. And she looked at him with a look of disgust and turned around, grabbed her champagne bottle, and walked away in disgust. And women like that are in corporate America today. And that woman who was on that clip of me doing the news show, that's the same thing. A lot of the Negro bedwenches, when they see a black male, they're disgusted by a black male who has equal leverage or who's speaking equally with the white power structure, because they pride themselves, the Negro bedwench, on keeping the brothers out of that. They pride themselves on bragging and throwing up in brothers' faces that they're a part of this establishment and you're not. You understand what I'm saying? Like, look, I got this. I got my degree. I'm a supervisor at IBM. I'm this. I'm that. And I'm better than you. They pride themselves on that. So when you see a brother who goes past their asses, goes over their heads, and starts having equal billing or equal conversations with their bosses, that's a problem. And they try to sabotage that, and that's exactly what happened in that clip. I was there with other news reporters, and I'm chopping up game with them, and it was a very tongue-in-cheek show. It was a very tongue-in-cheek, fun segment. It wasn't even a heavy segment. We're just talking about dating for the holidays, so we're all having fun. They put the camera on her, and she was in the field. She was in the field, literally and proverbially. She was a filmmaker. And they put the camera on her. They were like, so, Gail, what do you think about this? And she had a look on her face like, this is a bunch of mess. I can't believe this. Ladies, you should leave these guys alone like him and get your degree. This is why all you women should get your degrees. And it just really changed the whole vibe. And I wasn't going to go back and forth with this woman on live television at all.
You really did.
Yeah, I sidetracked that. I wasn't about to go there. She wasn't going to let me bait her into that nonsense. So I played past that and just kept on promoting my stuff. And the segment went on fine after that. But, again, that type of mentality, a lot of brothers who work in corporate America, y'all have to deal with those Negro bedwenches who are supervisors, because a lot of those women are put in positions to keep the other black folks at a certain position and to keep them at bay, to keep them on lock, to keep them subservient. Also, because a lot of times at these corporations or these major companies, a lot of whites are afraid of insubordinate black people, because if you fire a black person, they can say, oh, this was racial discrimination or whatever. So they keep those Negro bedwenches there to do their dirty work. You understand? So you got to understand, it's very strategic with women like that in these job places. So it's real interesting.
I tell people all the time, I believe that middle management was created for the black woman. It's a way. There are too many ways, and there was a lot, and it's always been weird to me. When I watch Dr. Phil Valentine, then I watch Goldie Taylor, and then I turn around and I watch Soledad O'Brien. Do you ever think that it's kind of weird that it's brothers like us that'll come out and be out front where we want to try and talk some sense into black folks, but it seems like the people who are down for the black man is like the mixed chicks. Like if you watch. I don't understand that. It's the weirdest concept to me. But I watched this woman talk about how she was offended that Barack Obama made the statement about black men taking care of their kids and whatnot. And she said, there's a mixed chick. And they killed her on Twitter. I think her name is something, Perry Harris. I can't remember. She's on CNBC. But she's real. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, what she did was challenge that by saying the system that is put in place is not helping black men. As a matter of fact, it hinders them from being fathers. So you can't just say y'all need to be fathers when the system hinders them from being fathers. She got killed for saying that. Now, why wouldn't a lot of women acknowledge that that's actually true? When you have, they love President Obama, which makes no sense because you got over 22% of black males unemployed. But they're not worried about the black males being unemployed because they see, and even if you look at Michelle Obama, notice that Barack Obama's the president, but black women always talk about Michelle Obama as if she's the president. It's like what she's done is some accomplishment. They look at her as more of an accomplishment than they look at what Condoleezza Rice did, and Condoleezza Rice at one point was the most powerful woman in the country. But it seems that we have a dysfunction and a disconnect between black women and black men, especially the darker the shade of the woman. And you talk about dating and stuff like that. So I want to see if you can connect the two where it seems like this disconnect where there's more of a fighter's mentality between black men and black women instead of a lover's mentality.
Right, and that came from the 1960s. You have to remember, man, in the 1960s, that was a very pivotal moment for the black community because, see, before the 1960s, back in the 20s and 40s and 30s, when they wanted to get black people, get their minds right, they just go in there and lynch a few blacks, beat a couple of them up, or run them out of town overnight, and, that was it. But those tactics didn't work no more in the 60s because black people became too spread out, and black people started to say, hey, fuck all this. We're going to fight back, and we're going to burn down half these cities. We ain't taking these ass whoopings no more.
Right.
And they said, okay, we can't do the old school, beat them up, round them up. We can't do that no more. So now we got to infiltrate them. We got to go in there and play the divide and conquer tactic. So what we'll do, we'll get the woman because that will be less of a threat. We'll get the woman. We'll give her some benefits. We'll pull her to the side and say, okay, look, if we give you this, make sure everything is cool. If you want to keep getting these benefits, act right and you better play the game. And make sure the Negro male is not out of pocket. So that right there caused a major rift. And then the feminist movement came in and manipulated the civil rights movement because during the 60s, the civil rights movement had a lot of momentum. So the feminists came in and latched on to that for their momentum. All they did for the black community was latch onto the civil rights movement to get their momentum going. And when they got their momentum going, they dropped black women off on the very next bus stop and hadn't looked back since. They ain't done shit for black women. I keep telling black women, why would you call yourself a feminist? That's the last thing you should call yourself or even associate yourself with because they weren't whooping black people's asses or black women's asses because you were a woman back then. They were whooping your ass and our asses with the same billy club. So you got to understand that whole feminist thing was a whole hustle, but it worked. And that's where that whole independent thing came from. That came from the feminist movement. It came directly from them. Black women weren't saying that dumb shit before the 1960s. And I don't mean to be facetious, ladies out there listening, but that is some dumb shit. And fortunately, a lot of sisters are walking away from that I'm the independent woman talk because now it's a tired, cliche, non sequitur because you got women in the projects talking about they independent and they don't need no man, but you get county checks in Section 8. So it's an empty term now that don't mean anything. But again, our relationships were specifically sabotaged from the outside. And we still allow our relationships to be sabotaged from the outside because we have TV shows propping up black women saying, hey, how come black women can't get a man? Is it because you're too successful? That's why you can't get a man? And you know what I'm so who wants to
I got to say this. Their idea of success is just being a fucking grown woman. Their idea, even the song, she got her own car. She a fucking 35-year-old woman. What should she have?
Yeah, I'm not trying to shit on the sisters, and I did a whole show about that. I'm like, don't y'all know that they're patronizing you? They're like, I got an apartment and I got a bank account. I'm like, everybody got that. That's not really success. You're doing grown folk shit. You're doing what you're supposed to do. So they condescend and they really patronize us with a lot of the rhetoric they put out there, and we should stop falling for it.
And that's what scares me, too. And, ladies and gentlemen, we're live with the man, and we're going to talk to him about a lot of Mac lessons and a lot of his books right now as far as his ideas on relationships, and especially with us blacks. It is Tariq Nasheed, and I'm so happy that you could join us. And I want to ask you about this show, and I know it's one of the shows that I can't stand. I had Elise Neal on the show, and we talked about it, and she and I went and had a debate about it because she loves it. She loves Kerry Washington. I can't stand Scandal because black women talk about black men cheat too much, yet the number one show amongst black women is this idea of this Negro bed wench is screwing this white president, and they know for a fact had they did that show and it been the opposite, had it been a black president cheating on his black wife with a white woman, they would have boycotted the hell out of that show. We got shows like you got my man Shawty Lowe, friend of mine. Shawty Lowe had his show cut off. Yet you got this stripper show in Atlanta. That show is going off without a hitch. All of these black women are able to run around these housewives shows. But the one time a black man wanted a show could be about him, they was able to shut it down. What do you think, number one, about Scandal and how that makes the black woman look when she can latch on to a show about a woman being a side chick?
The thing, I tried to give that show Scandal a chance. I really did because I kept hearing a lot of people tweeting about it, and I watched it. And the show, to me, was a little boring. It was boring to me. And I love Kerry Washington. I popped my collar to her. But the show, to me, is overrated. And the only reason why the show is popping off is because of the Negro bedwench element, because Kerry Washington is having an affair with the white president. That's the only reason it's popping off. It's the whole Sally Hemings thing. where the president has a black mistress. And the reason why, and we got to be very honest, a lot of sisters like that show is because that has been a fantasy for a lot of sisters since slavery. We'll have to keep it 110. That's a major fantasy that the powerful white dude will at least let you be his mistress. Not even his wife, but at least his mistress, which is some sad shit to even look up to. But unfortunately, that's the bone they throw us. You have this powerful woman on TV. She's smart. She has her own business. She's articulate, well-dressed, intelligent. But the best she can do is be a motherfucker's jump off, and that's all she is.
And you see how they justify, like when Elise was on the show, I just was so sad. She kept saying, but you have to understand, he really loves her, and if he could be with her, he would. And then I saw a chick on YouTube make a video. You know, she said, white men really love us. When they're not with their wives, they want to be with us. I kept saying, why are black women saying this is okay? And I kept thinking, if you go back to slavery, not every woman that was in the bed with master was raped. A lot of them felt like that was a privilege, and nobody wants to talk about that. Why?
Dude, there's a place up in Ohio called Xenia, Ohio. There was a place called Wilberforce College, and a lot of schools like that, a lot of HBCUs were started by white slave masters and their Negro mistresses for their offspring children. A lot of folks don't know that. A lot of HBCUs were started because these dudes were having kids by these women, and they would take them to free states. Ohio was a free state, and they would take black women up there. There was a country club up there in the 1800s where they would take their black mistresses up there and cupcake with them and wine them and dine them and all that stuff. And remember, Ohio was a free state, so they could have gotten the fuck on and got free while they were up there. But they chose to stay because they were getting those benefits and those privileges. So there's a lot of stuff about our history that we don't like to talk about, but the Negro Bedouin element is very real. And again, the whole Sally Hemings thing, where there was a black woman who was in a relationship with Thomas Jefferson, and a lot of women have that fantasy, and that's a slave trait. That if they're nice enough to the master, he really likes them, he really loves them. You look at there was a movie called Queen with Holly Berry in it, and they were talking the same shit. Master love me. Master love me. And Master was like, get your black ass off my plantation. The Civil War is over.
And I talked to black women about that. I said, the white man is not going to, you're not going to be able to dethrone his woman. But black women seem like they want to dethrone white women so bad. Like you'll look at them, they'll say things like, I had a black woman say this to me. I talk about weave all the time, and I'll get your opinion on that. But I talk about weave all the time. I say, it's just ridiculous it got to $1 billion. I said, and when they say, you talk bad about black women. I said, I ain't seen a black woman since 1985. That's the last time I saw a black woman. These Europeans, these people right here, these Euro blacks, these ain't blacks no more. But if you think about it, you look at them, and you see the fact that these black women are literally will complain if a brother gets a white woman. They want to boycott him. They want to say, blah, blah, blah. They tried to tell dude he should have put more dark-skinned women in Tariq. He didn't have no dark-skinned women. They was mad about that.
I know, that was real weak.
So think about this. I want you to do me a favor. Nigga, you tell me I'm lying. You go Google any black model you want to, no matter her shade. Go Google her and look at her Wikipedia. And every one of their Wikipedia will say they got French, European, they got something in them. They will not just say that they're African. They will not say that they're just African American.
Man, when we were trying to cast for one of my movies, we did a horror movie, and we were trying to do the casting in L.A., and we put up, we want a black female, this tall, this age, and we hardly got any responses. I'm like, that's strange. We're not getting no responses. What the fuck? I'm like, I know there are a lot of black actresses or black wannabe actresses or people trying to get in. Then I said, wait a minute, let me reword it. I said, okay. I told my assistant, put up an ad saying we want exotic-looking women. And we got thousands of replies from black women then. I'm like, wow, really?
Even I put up a thing, and I'll send it to you, where I was so hurt at the Essence Festival. Kelly Rowland, I love Kelly Rowland. I think that's one of the most beautiful. I think she's more beautiful than Beyonce. I've always thought it.
She's fly. Yeah.
Kelly stood up there and said, when I was young, I didn't like being dark-skinned, And it took me till now to embrace and she never called herself dark skin. She kept saying my chocolatiness. She said, but now I'm comfortable being a brown girl. And I was like, okay, so if we brown now, what the fuck are the Mexicans? Have you noticed black women won't say they black?
Yeah. Now, well, let me play the devil's advocate. Let me play the other side. Now, when a lot of these girls are growing up, a lot of the boys will gravitate towards the light-skinned girls. A lot of the boys will kind of shit on the dark ones when they're kids. So I have seen that. So I will play the devil's advocate. So a lot of these girls,
I feel that, but then we get shit on too as dark-skinned men, especially our age. Bitches wanted to work with the elder bars and shit.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
We didn't kowtow and start putting on Ted Copper wigs and walk around trying to Think about it. In the 90s, we got extra black. We took the Jerry curls out. We started wearing afros and braids.
But you know what? In the 90s, the dark brothers came in style. Also, in the 90s, the white women started checking for the dark brothers in the 90s.
Yeah.
And when the white women started checking for the dark brothers, then the sisters was like, hold on, those are our men. Then they jumped on the bandwagon.
Because I see you now, see on the internet, and I watch how women were talking, oh, that's such a handsome chocolate brother, and blah, blah. And I watch them talking. I'll fall back into, like the women, I'll fall back into my younger days. I'll be like, man, they used to didn't think a nigga was cute like that. They would say we was black as hell and all this crap. But we had Michael Jordan, then we got Dominique, then we got Kobe. We started having people, like you said, when the white chicks started checking for us. But that's why my fear is that a lot of black women are in competition for the power. And I think the reason that black men are having trouble is because they don't view us as powerful. They don't view us as powerful, and the white man did it on purpose. That's why whenever they get a baby by us, they make sure they put us on child support. Whenever they get mad at us, they call the police, and the police will quickly arrest a black man. They did a stat, and the stat said 40% of all black males that were in jail right now are in there due to some case involving a woman.
How scary. It's deep. But the thing is, man, there is a lot of competition with some of the sisters for the white women, because the thing is, the white women can take the brothers. White women can go somewhere and say, look, I'm about to get one of these brothers. And white women go in there and scoop them brothers right on up. Good or bad, right or wrong, it is what it is. And white women are very aware of this, too. They're like, oh, he's dating a black girl. Oh, I get him. Don't worry, I get him. But the thing is, the sisters a lot of times can't do the same. The sisters can't go in there and say, I'm going to take that white man from that white woman. Because the thing is, white dude is like, hey, I want my kids to be white, so, I have you as my mistress. That's the best I can do. So there's always that competition that's there. You still want to compete with the white woman, so a lot of sisters will try to emulate the white woman from the hair, the blonde weave, and all that stuff, and you can't compete like that. So it's just a real deep dynamic.
But I think that's where the rift is coming with us. I think it's like an anger. It's like if you have a brother and you believe the parents treat him better than you. Every time he succeeds, you want to see him fail. You just start to get mad because you think they treat him better than you. I think that black women have gotten to a point, like you said, they have to wear weave and blue contacts and silly stuff to just look crazy, just to, in their opinion, to get attention. Because if you notice, most brothers will tell a black woman, I'd rather you not wear all that crap. But the woman will still say, I don't think, I've had so many callers calling my show that say, the women will outright say, I don't think I look good without this stuff. So it means that they don't care what we think. And in no other community do the men get shitted on like black men. If a white man says why do you think women get all these breast implants in the white community? They don't get it for each other. They get it to attract white men. Black women, they do stuff that has nothing to do with us. They don't get tattoos on their neck because that's a turn on to us. They don't get tattoos across their chest because that's going to bring them a good man. They don't wear a honey blonde wig when they dark as this microphone I'm in front of because that's going to attract a man. They do it because they want to compete with something that's not us. So what, in your Mackin lessons, what can you give a black man to realize? Because a lot of brothers call and they say they don't want to be that guy that after she's been ran through by everybody else, now she gives me a shot. How can you get that guy to not have that happen?
Well, the thing is, man, you got to elevate yourself to get sisters who are more conscious of themselves. And they're out there. The sisters are definitely out there. But the thing is, man, a lot of the brothers are going to have to be very honest, too, because brothers have been indoctrinated, too. Yep. A lot of brothers, when you look at television, what you think is the ideal woman is the female with the tattoos and the hydrogel in her ass. You understand? So the woman who's sitting up well-dressed with glasses on she's boring to you, or you think you're not going to get it in with her. You think she's out of your league. So you go for the ratchet. So a lot of brothers do gravitate towards the ratchet females, and you don't know that woman with the glasses and the fully dressed clothes, her body is banging as hell underneath those clothes, and she's a down female. But a lot of guys overlook that, and that's something that guys got to be very honest about. So a lot of women like that, the well-to-do female, they're like, well, shit, if I need to compete, let me take off some of these clothes a little bit. If I need to compete with these ratchets, let me get 1 or 2 tattoos. So now you got a bunch of non-ratchet sisters emulating the ratchets in order to get attention. And then you get mad when we lump you all in the same category. So you can't have it both ways, sisters. That's what I say to them.
Yes, and then Tariq, you took the words right out of my mouth. I tell people, and I'll ask you, what do you think about this? And we'll wrap it up. I'll ask you, what do you think about this dynamic, though, or if you've ever thought about it. I said most black men, we probably are Homer Simpson is our daddy because we are the Simp sons. We are the sons of Simps. Most black men, because we're raised by a black woman, we have a crazy-ass exalted attitude about people. Because if you listen to black women talk about themselves, most of the time their only accomplishment in life is being black, and if you get mad at them, they'll say your mama black. If you say something about black women, they'll say your mama black. They'll keep throwing that caveat out there. They won't talk about what they can provide. They'll keep saying your mama's black. And if you look at stuff like what Tupac said, even though you was a black queen mama, even though you was a crack fiend mama, you always was a black queen mama. But we would never speak of our fathers like that. If you notice you go on a date with a woman and she asks you about your father, you say, oh, I ain't spoke to that nigga in years. She won't flinch at all. But if you go out with a white woman and you say you have no connection with your father, that throws her off. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, man, a lot of people, a lot of younger women now, they want to ride the waves of the accomplishments of upgraded sisters in the past. They want to try to ride the wave of the Coretta Scott Kings and the Betty Shabazz, but you want to carry yourself like, the latest stripper or the latest booty model out here. And it don't work like that. You want to be a booty model at night, and then you want to be Claire Huxtable in the day. And you got to pick a side and choose that, because guys are going to really look at you for what it is. We're not trying to go for the okie doke, because men, we have to invest in you. When we date you, that's an investment, and it's a gamble. So when we gamble, we want to get a gamble that's going to pay off. And I'm talking about a dude who has shit going on. I'm not talking about the thirsty nigga that'll just holler at anybody. Right. I'm talking about brothers who really got it popping. Brothers got to be very strategic about the sisters that they date, or just the people they date, period. But you got to be very strategic. And if you're talking the same shit that a ratchet female was talking, we're just going to have to put you in the sex partner category and just leave it at that. Because the thing is, a lot of sisters think that just because a guy is fucking you don't mean that he really likes you. I say that to women all the time. Just because a nigga fucks you don't mean he likes you. Or a nigga will fuck you just to not let that pussy go to waste. You know what I'm saying? That's how dudes think. And that is not a badge of honor at all. So you got to be a quality female to get quality treatment. Right. Now, this is one thing that bothers me, though, about us as blacks. White men typically want to start their own family. White men are like lions. Lions, if he come in, if the lioness got a damn bunch of cubs, he going to kill them cubs and make his own. But most think about us as black men. You've seen it yourself. Now tell me I'm lying. You've seen good brothers, got no kids, got a good job, and he'll settle down with a chick, got 2 kids by 2 thugs. And you'll be like, what? And we do this, and I think it's because we're raised by women who, let's just call it, our mothers weren't upstanding citizens if we got brothers that's got different daddies.
Exactly, because brothers are used to that. You got a lot of guys who are used to different stepdaddies coming in and out the house, and they think that's normal now. It's normal for just a random dude to take care of somebody's kids. Again, white dudes are very particular about their kids. White dudes ain't trying to raise nobody's shit. Nothing. If you got a dog before him, you got to let that dog go. You're like, get this motherfucker up out of here. I'm allergic to this nigga. I don't want to raise this dog. That's your ex's shit. But yeah, when white dudes start businesses, it's like James and Son, Roger and Son. They make sure it's their son. They pass it down. They're going to pass the wealth down. They look at it like that. When we start businesses, it's like all eyes on me, tax. Like buy that real estate. It's just some dumb nigga shit, and we ain't thinking about passing it down to our offspring. So it's all about us and all about ourselves. We got to start looking at the future and how we're going to really take care of our offspring.
Now, for men like us, and let's wrap it up here. For men like us who are about something, who have something, and it's not like we're exalting ourselves, but I tell people all the time, I look at who you used to date, and after a while, I start to realize where I am as opposed to them. And I look at it this way: if you sold this vehicle, and I don't know why other people don't view it this way. I tell them right now, show me the cat facts. If I know your baby daddy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I already know where you're going, and I talk to sisters about this all the time. This is a major reason why you see an athlete or a balling brother who will date the white girls. Because the thing is, the white girl ain't going to date just anybody. You look at her dating history. Yeah, the white girl is, when they date a brother, they're very particular about the brothers they date. I'm talking about upscale. I'm not talking about those wigger wannabe, I ain't talking about them. They don't count. But white girls are very particular about who they date. So brothers look at that. And when you have money, you want shit that the average nigga can't get. You want a car that the average nigga can't get. You want a plane that the average nigga can't get. You want to get a house that the average nigga can't get. And you want a woman that the average nigga can't get. You don't want a woman, a sister that done dated a nigga who works at corn dog on a stick at the fucking mall. You dig? You don't want a nigga who does part-time work at Starbucks. So a lot of these sisters, or a thug-ass nigga who's out here selling $300 worth of dope. You don't want to date a woman if you balling out who dates niggas like that. You're like, why did I work so hard to date a female that any nigga can get? So you got to understand, ladies, that's how brothers think when they balling out. So you got to really step it up and be very selective. And you're selective by the way you carry yourself.
Well, that's why these women end up with the motherfucking Madden King, the motherfucking World of Witchcraft dude. Because this nigga sits on the couch all day. They need a nigga they can control because, seriously, like, they'll get mad at the way you and I talk. And I'll tell them I can talk like this and still get half the pussy in the room by telling the truth.
Oh yeah. I say that all the dudes, man. I say this all the time. I put a lot of responsibility on the dudes. Because I can get a room full of women and talk this and say this, and they'll be feeling exactly what I'm saying. And they're like, you know what, shit, that was some rough shit, but, I'm woman enough to say, hey, let me take heed to it. The problem is these women have to go back home to some simp-ass niggas who ain't really trying to upgrade them. So now they fall back into that stupid shit where they have to be the leader because the dude ain't trying to be the leader in the relationship. So women have to be the leaders by default, and that's why they're mad, because women don't want to be the leaders in relationships at all. But they do it by default because a lot of them can't get a guy who's quality enough to be the leader.
I agree with you, and I'll leave you with this, and you tell me if you agree. I counsel women all the time, and one of the things that I tell them is I said, stop talking so much. And they said, what do you mean? I said, black women have a problem when they go on a first date with a man or they talk to a man. They love to talk about how their baby daddy wasn't shit, their last man was on crack, all this crap. They'll tell you stupid shit. And I'll say exactly what you just said. If a man is of any means, when he's listening to you tell him that your baby dad ain't shit, you ain't seen him in years, you was just his jump off, my interest level goes down from I thought you might have been a potential chick I could date, or you just going to be a chick I'm going to fuck, because I realize that you let anybody, but I think black women have gotten to the point where, like, they'll get on Twitter and Facebook and talk shit about their baby daddy. But any man, any man of means will see that as a deterrent for being with you. That's why you can only get the Madden King and the motherfucking World of Witchcraft dude. Do you think? I agree with that. Whenever women who sit up and talk about how their baby daddy ain't shit, he was on crack, he was abusive, when you're saying all that, the only thing that's going on in my mind is, what does that say about your ass for dating him? Point blank. What does that say about you? What is that? Not only what does it say about you for dating him, what does that say about you for having a kid with this nigga if he's so fucked up? That speaks volume about you. So you're telling on yourself when you talk all that ratchet shit about your baby's dad. All you're doing is telling on yourself, and then you wonder why this nigga is listening to all that, tears your coochie up, and then drops you to the curb. And then you got another horror story to tell niggas. So you got to be very careful about what you say. Women, if you dated a ratchet nigga, charge that to the game, learn from it, and close those wounds and take the wisdom from that and build positively for the next relationship. But don't nobody want to hear your pity party, because that just speaks volumes about you. I had a woman ask me, she said, well, what am I supposed to tell people when they ask me about my son's father? I said, tell them that nigga died in motherfucking the Gulf War protecting the country. You know,
say that nigga got
a hero. I got to live up to that shit, right?
Exactly. Say that nigga got mauled in a pit bull attack. Any goddamn thing. But don't talk all that he wasn't there, he wasn't shit. Nobody want to hear that, you know.
Your baby daddy popped a molly, now he's sweating. I don't want to hear that.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have had a great time with my man, Tariq Nasheed. Tariq, can you tell them where you're going to be? Tell them how they can get in contact with you, and tell them how they can get not only those books, but maybe if they can talk to you one-on-one if you do some, I know you do a lot of touring, if they want to bring you around, give them all the information about you.
Yes, indeed. Y'all can check out my weekly podcast at maclessonsradio.com. You can hit my website up, maclessons.com, to get my books and my DVDs and check out my lectures, and hit me up at info@kingflexentertainment.com. You can get Hidden Colors, my documentaries 1 and 2 on Amazon. And I got a new movie, The Eugenist, that will be available on Amazon and iTunes next month. And hit me up on Twitter at Tariq Nasheed.
And he gets back to you, because if he got somebody back to somebody as small as me, he'll get back to somebody like you. And I tell you what, you got to do a movie and put me in it and have me just be the nigga, just come in and just cuss people out of nowhere. Just that. Nigga just has no script, just action. He just running motherfucker out.
I know we did our movie in Atlanta, man. If I had known you did, we could have cast you as a zombie. Oh, we could have had you play Anthony Hamilton, nigga. You look just like that motherfucker.
It was funny when Anthony was see you, because people keep telling me it's another nigga look like you.
Nigga, y'all motherfuckers were separated from birth, man. God damn, y'all look just alike. You better check your birth certificate, nigga. See if your mom gave y'all for adoption or something. You look just like that nigga.
Hey, all I know is my daddy was Tupac before the underground. He used to get around.
That's what's up, man. But I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thank you, brother, for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, that was my man, Tariq Nasheed. If you have not checked out Hidden Colors, you are a dumbass, number one, for not checking it out. Number two, you need to go and get it. Get it on Amazon. Get it, please. What a wonderful guest. How much fun is that? Ladies, what y'all got to hear? And men. But ladies, what y'all got to hear was truth. Truth. Y'all don't get that kind of shit. When they got me and Corey Holcomb together, the shit was epic. It keeps being epic because you hear black men with no pretension. It ain't no dick swinging going on. It ain't nobody trying to outbig the other person. Have y'all noticed that? When you get two real niggas, we don't really have ego because we have common ground. When you got common ground, there's no ego. Those people are able to look at me and say, I know what that brother's doing. That brother's doing his thing. But you always got some black woman talking about he ain't nobody. Isn't that the funniest part about it? Niggas say he ain't nobody. Go to Spoken Reasons TV right now. His website.com. His website is full of my shit. He ain't nobody. You go to his website is full of my shit. He's tweeting everything I did. The man told me, he said, dude, I ain't got no work done in the past 2 days because I've been watching your shit. We as real men have no problem complimenting other people. They came to me, said that. I went to Statuesque and said, I like your shit. I went to Jason Black and said, I like your shit. People who are about something aren't threatened by other people who are about something. As a matter of fact, we feel good to be around other people who are about something because after a while we start feeling like we by our damn self. I'm telling you the truth. If you are an intelligent person, you understand what I'm saying. When you were smart in school, after a while you started to believe you might be the only motherfucker that do homework. Shit, maybe I shouldn't do homework. I think I'm the only nigga in class do homework. You start to feel like you the only nigga there. You're the only one that do this. I'm the only one that practice 2 times a day. Maybe I shouldn't practice. I'm the only one that go to the damn gym. These other motherfuckers are sitting at home playing Madden all day. Whenever you are exceptional, you are glad to see other exceptional people. You do not get threatened. You are happy to see their ass. Because you now feel like Michael Jackson showed up and he said, you are not alone. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go to a break and come right back. If you're on the lines and you want to talk, the number is 347-989-8310. If it hangs up on you, don't worry. Call your black ass back in. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know what the fuck this is. Don't you know what this is? I think they know what this is. I don't know if they know what this is. Tell them what it is. This is Your World.
Stay tuned for more Your World, My Views, the realest show on internet radio, with your host, Tommy Sotomayor. Keep it locked.
Again, everybody, you guys know what happened. If you're looking at the show right now, the people inside of the live stream and all the other chat rooms, it's just going to go to a commercial for a second. It'll shut down, but it'll come back up. So don't leave. We'll come right back. And if you're on the line, hang up and call back in now. The number's 347-989-8310. Let's get it.